and welcome to Mums at the Table. I'm Rachel, and joining me today to have a real conversation about all things life and family, I've got Shona, I've got Rachel, and I've got Melody.
Hi.
Hi. Good to have you. Rach, we've missed you for a few weeks now. It is good to have you back.
Yeah, happy to be here.
Yeah, I'm glad. I'm waiting for all the wisdom today. You've been building it up for a few weeks. Well, coming up today, we will be talking about the seductive nature of gossip and how to put a stop to it. Sneaking vegetables into your kids' food. Is it really dishonest? And we've got psychologist Collette Smart. She's back with us to chat about the perils of perfectionist parenting and what that actually might mean for your kids. But to start things off, we're going to be talking about the very emotional journey that is infertility. Sufi Mahonen is a Surfers Paradise-based writer, and her personal story of being blessed with a daughter, then being shocked by infertility when she tried to have a second child, is in our latest Mums at the Table magazine. Now, infertility and the struggle to even become pregnant is a fairly common one these days, with IVF Australia saying it affects 1 in 6 Aussie couples of reproductive age. Now, Mel, can you help me unpack her story a little bit?
Well, her story was exactly what you said. So basically, she didn't realize that she had, infertility issues because, she had a daughter already. And then just as they're trying for the second one, realized that, hang on, there's things wrong with her eggs and they couldn't do it. So in her journey, she's interviewed a few different doctors about what she can do to actually help, because she's thinking that it might be her body as well. And so the doctors came up with, the different doctors overarchingly basically said that, there are opportunities to increase your chances of being more fertile through healthy diet, through exercise. There's a bunch of different supplements that they've suggested as well. So that I believe is pretty much what the article is talking about her findings and her own journey.
Yeah, it was she did it well, because it can be really confronting. And having been someone who's been through IVF and going through that journey of not knowing what the outcome might be, it can be really, it's a very emotional journey. It's very taxing on you emotionally. But I really respected her story, because her story's not finished. Usually when you hear a story from someone, it's when they've sort of finished that journey, they have their children, but hers is sort of part way through. So it was really, really good story. What do you think, Rach?
Yeah, I just, excuse me, I was just really, I thought it was so insightful, the different things that the doctor said, as you said, that she could do. And, excuse me, just explaining like how weight can have an impact on a woman's fertility, or not having enough vitamin D or other things like that. Yeah, so sometimes when you're infertile, you don't feel as though you can maybe have any impact on that, And
it's so easy to blame yourself. And like, you don't necessarily have a say in it, but it's so easy to sit there and go like, this is my fault. I can't provide this child for my husband or partner, and it's easy to sit there and sort of get into that zone where you're mentally not healthy to take it on either.
I'm actually a bit curious, Rachel, because it's your personal experience. You went through IVF.
Yep.
Was it your first or subsequent children that you were trying to conceive?
So first. Yeah, so we had tried for a while, absolutely nothing, and went and saw the specialist. They couldn't even work out what the problem was. So I can't even share that there was a problem. There was just nothing at all happening, and they were shocked. They couldn't even explain it either. But it seemed to kickstart something, and the next two were accidents, because we weren't expecting that. But yeah, it's a very financially and emotionally taxing journey.
Did it affect like the relationship between you and your husband?
Absolutely. And I think particularly it was for me. It affected me more than him. Like, he was really comfortable whether we had kids or we didn't have kids. But for me, it was just something I really wanted. And I didn't expect it. And I had this fight inside me, because originally I didn't necessarily want my own kids. It didn't bother me. And then for some reason, something kicked in and I wanted them, and I was just so determined, and I didn't know how to let go of it. And I'm not sure how I would have handled not being able to have them. It was the closest I've ever been to God, I can tell you that. I spent a lot of time in the Bible and a lot of time in prayer.
It's really interesting, because for women, you have this kind of desire, like I was the same. Initially, you don't feel like, oh my gosh, I want kids. But once you have it in your head that you want them, it's this thing you kind of start clinging to. And it's like that emotion can make you have trouble falling pregnant as well, like getting stressed. So you're trying to like keep your stress levels down.
And everyone's, relax,
go
on a holiday.
Oh my God, go relax. Yeah, it was tricky.
Yeah.
But I loved how she wrote in the article, do your own research, because I think people don't necessarily expect it. You don't know if it's coming, whether it's going to be a hard journey or not.
I think that's medically, I think it's not just whether you're pregnant or not. I think if you have anything medically wrong with you, do your own research, because the more you know, the more you're enabling yourself to get the answers. Yeah.
But actually what surprised me was, you know, I've always just thought infertility is, there's nothing you can do about it.
Yeah.
Except for IVF. But then, you know, what she suggested, like that you can actually have different kind of supplements, your lifestyle change and things like that. It makes me think like it has to do with a lot of other different medical stuff as well. We really need to look at our lifestyle.
Yeah.
And just food and you know, things like she said CQ10 and all that sort of stuff. And you think there is a lot more behind this than just what we think.
And there's also the age thing, I think, that puts a bit of pressure on us as well. Women tend to be having kids later, but it is a sensitive issue, and you're welcome to reach out to us if it's something you're going through as well. Well, if you're looking to improve and kickstart your fertility, we actually have a free fertility meal plan that you can download from our website, mumsathetable.com. Simply follow the link to free stuff on our page, mumsathetable.com. And for more great articles, you can get your free copy of our Mums at the Table magazine by emailing us at hello@thetabletv.com. That's just hello@thetabletv.com. Well, Dr. Samantha Rodman wrote that on theladder.com and said, gossip is the junk food of communication. We can probably all relate to it, but may not want to admit to our own gossiping habits. Dr. Rodman writes about how seductive gossip is and what we can do to stop it. But before we get into that, I sort of wanted to define, what do you actually think gossip is? That is not supposed to draw silence. That is supposed to have a response, because I think people look at it differently.
I think when you start a sentence like, girl, let me tell you.
Girl, let me tell you, there's a difference.
Or like whenever you say, you know, I got to spill some tea. I don't know if you guys know about that.
What's
but
that?
No, I've not heard that one.
Anything after that, I think is probably gossip.
But yeah, it's interesting. There's two different things. Like, you know, there's the part where you're venting about someone and talking about how that person annoys you.
Yes.
Is that gossip versus something that you're just spreading about untruth about someone?
Well, that's my question, because there's a place in life where an event happens or something happens and you want to process it, and talking about it, writing about it, whatever, is part of that process of going through it and understanding it. So is that gossip?
I think,
Look, for me, and I had a quick read on the internet about, I Googled what's the difference between gossip and venting. And gossip was something that was malicious, that you were doing out of jealousy, that you were not necessarily truthful about it, whereas venting was talking about your feelings, how it's impacting you, and just allowing the steam to come off it.
I think for me, I would think, would I care if that person were standing here and I was saying it?
Good
And
question.
like, would I care if, you know, even if it were venting, like, would I care if they, like, is it something I would say to them? Like, I might vent to you and say, but I would say that to her myself.
Yeah,
you know?
okay.
But I think when you start getting into that area where if the person walks up all of a sudden you go,
You gotta
quiet,
stop. Yeah.
then you're probably like edging on the, you know, the
So
gossiping grounds.
You saying it sort of depends on the intent of the conversation? Like, as in what your intentions are? Are you venting? Are you...
I don't think it necessarily has to be the intent, because I could tell you something with the hopes that you're not going to repeat it. So it may not be that I'm trying
it's
to
only
be
a hope.
malicious. Yeah. But if that person walked up to the conversation and I felt shame and I felt like, oh my gosh, I would never have said this if I knew the person were listening, then I feel like that's a bit inappropriate.
Okay,
But
because...
it's so difficult though, because you know there are moments when you just like really want to vent, and in that instance about it's venting, but yet you would keep quiet if that person actually came up.
Yeah. I don't know. Okay, so in theladders.com, the lady had said, you know, it's the junk food of communication. She also mentioned that gossiping can tend to bring people together. She was saying it creates a strong bond. Well, it does. It's a team sport.
Ooh.
And it helps us feel better about ourselves. But isn't that just usually an indication of where we are in our own security and where we are at feeling about ourselves?
It's actually, well, you know, we see it from this point of view, then you think about the person who is the point of being gossiped, right? It means that they are being the ones that are being isolated, because if it's a team sport, it means you're drawing everyone away from them.
Yeah, that's...
And that's just not nice.
Oh, no, not at all.
And how would you feel about it if what you were saying about someone else was being said about you?
I think the worst kind of gossip is the malicious type that's totally untrue, has no basis in reality, because you're just kind of spreading things about people that has...
So how do you put a stop to it? Have you ever had to stop gossip like in its tracks when someone's talking about it? That's the challenge.
I've confronted them.
Have you? Good on you. It is
But
a
then
challenge.
I do that anyway.
Yeah.
I would usually stand up. Like, I'm not one who... I don't love gossip. It's not really my thing. So I would usually stand... I love standing up for people who can't stand up for themselves. So I think in that situation, that's what I would probably do.
Love these strong women. We're taking you into the fitness centre for ladder workouts with Alicia.
It's Alicia, the Table's personal trainer, here with another workout tip and trick. So if you're looking for some creative ways to do a workout, I've got a few to share with you. Today what we're going to talk about is what's called a ladder workout. So it's kind of like you want to imagine that you're climbing the rungs on a ladder in terms of how many repetitions of each exercise you're doing. So say you only had 15 minutes spare and you were like, okay, I really want to work out, but where do I start? What do I do? So here's what you would do. You would go, all right, I've got 15 minutes. I'm going to set my timer for 15 minutes. I'm going to choose the exercises I'm going to do. I'm going to start on 2 reps of each. And then each new round through the exercises, I'm going to add 2 more reps. And you just keep going until time's up and see how far up the ladder you get. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
All right, so let's demonstrate. Melody, I might get you up. So today we'll just pick 2 exercises. We won't make it too strenuous. And what we would do is, so let's just go with squats, and I don't know, is there an exercise that you...
Laying down? Oh.
Sleeping? No. Why don't we do squats and then we can actually do some standing crunches, okay? So basically where you bring your opposite knee to elbow. All right, so what we would do is we would start our timer, and I'll just, for fun's sake, put my timer on for like 30 seconds, right? And then what we'll do is I want you to just add 2 more reps each time that you go, okay? So first of all, let's do our 2 squats. Yep, so down into squat. 2. Good.
Oh, thank you.
And then we've got our crunches. 1,
Support from
2.
the gallery.
1, 2, yep, because that would be 1 rep, correct? Now you go to 4. So you do 4 squats. 2. You can see where this is headed, right? To pain. Okay, and then you do your 8 total, or 4 reps with both sides. And 7, 8, good. Oh, wow. Okay, now you do 6 squats.
Yeah.
Yep, back to 6.
Are you putting more?
Yeah. It's confusing because we've got the 2. Yep. 3. Good. Great squats, by the way. Getting low there. 4 more.
5.
Good job, Melody.
6.
6. 2 more?
No, 6.
Just 6.
Just 6. I'm overworking.
You're okay.
Okay, then you've got your 6 total
Yep.
of your...
1.
Yep.
2.
3. That's it. Good. Lifting those knees, twisting. 5 and 6. Okay. Now that was probably about a minute, right? So
Felt like 5.
I know. But this is what's really cool about this kind of workout. You can take a seat if you like. The cool thing is that you don't need a lot of time, and you're going to feel like you've gotten a good workout. And what I like to do is try and pick, if you want to do like a leg day, then you can pick 3 leg exercises, you know, squats, lunges, deadlifts or something like that, and just repeat them and keep adding. Or if you want a full body workout, you pick an upper body, a lower body and a core exercise, and you just keep going through them and you climb that ladder. And that way you could do exactly the same workout a few days or a week later and see if you can get further up the ladder and challenge yourself to be like, oh, well, I got to 14 reps in 10 minutes last time. I'm going to try and get to 16 in 10 minutes this time. And so you're just getting a little bit more of that challenge happening for you at home. Now, I don't know, are you guys motivated enough to do that kind of thing, or do you need to work out with someone for that to happen?
I prefer to work out with someone. But
Okay.
you said 15 minutes before, so that's doable.
Yeah, okay,
right?
cool. Well, one way that you can work out with someone is if you jump on our YouTube channel. We've got 10-minute workouts, and some of them are ladder-style workouts.
Better.
So there you go. Check us out on the YouTube channel, and you can come work out with us and challenge yourself. See you there.
very buff there, Rach.
Oh, too buff, I think.
No, it was a compliment. Well, did your parents do the dirty trick on you growing up, putting hidden veggies in your mac and cheese, or any other dish for that matter? Well, Food Network chef and father Jeff Morrow told popsugar.com that he doesn't believe in the sneak-in method. He thinks that dishonesty only leads to negative effects. Now, we've got websites and books dedicated to sneaking in veggies and all this fraudulent activity. Did your parents do it to you, and did you turn out okay?
My parents...
Jury's still out on that second question.
Yeah, they definitely didn't. It was just like, eat what's on your plate. There wasn't much like sneaking or choice. It was like, this is what's for dinner.
Do you sneak food into Jax's meals?
I don't
like
think
veggies?
I don't sneak it in, but it's like if I mix it in, I don't think I'm being sneaky.
Okay.
Like, yeah. It makes me sound so deceptive.
I know. So nefarious.
I have actually tried sneaking in because he went through a stage where he's just really picky and didn't want, especially when it comes to anything green. He didn't want it, so I tried sneaking it in, right?
How do you hide green vegetables?
Well, that's the thing. I probably didn't do a really good job, correct?
If you overcook them, I can guarantee they change colour.
Yeah, well, I didn't mush it up well enough or mix it up well enough, so he still picked it out.
Gotta put it in the blender.
Yeah, I think that's the problem. So anyway, we went through that, and he's now learned that he needs to eat his veggies.
I think it's really smart that he was like just picking out the green ones, though.
I can't stand that child.
Yeah, my 7-year-old last night grilled me. Like, I served up an overcooked meal with lots of veggies in it, and she's like, "What is in this?" And I'm like, my mind just immediately thought of this topic that we're discussing today, and MasterChef came into my mind, not because I played up well, but because they play that game, taste it and see what's in it. So I'm like, all right, you can taste it, I'll tell you what's in there.
That's pretty
smart.
Did it work?
Yeah, it did work, because in the end she couldn't get them all, but she's like, is there onion in here? And I'm like, yes, there is.
Did she keep trying to
Yeah, she
taste
was,
the
and I'm
food to
like,
try to
well,
taste
she's
it?
eating it now, so, and then, you know, you distract her and move on, but she's very picky.
What did you overcook?
Pretty much all of it. I went to look after another child. I'm like, oh, look at that, it's all mushy now.
But so that isn't actually mixing the food into the food. But
I hid a lot in there.
But is that still fraudulent?
Yeah.
Yeah, probably. I'm okay with it because I think there's another article ABC put out that says 80% of our toddlers aren't getting enough veggies, so I'm okay with your fraudulence.
Yeah, no, look, I tend to agree with him. You need to make your children at least try it. And I used to do that with our kids. There would be their favourite food, and I would put a less favourite food on the side and make them eat it.
There are a whole heap of different ways. If you have a great way of helping your kids eat vegetables in an honest way, let us know. Well, we are going to take you into the kitchen with someone who is not dishonest at all. She cooks with her daughter, so she knows everything that's in there. It's sweet chilli sauce with Gia and Olive.
Hi. Today we have some special animals and special visitors. And they are gonna help us, but you've never seen them before. It's Pinky and Slick.
It's the Pinky and Slick show. What are we making? Sweet chili
Sauce.
Sweet chili sauce. Actually, this is a Revive cookbook special. I love the Revive cookbooks because they make cooking easy and they're healthier options. And if you want any of our recipes, please go to our website. It's thetabletv.com and you will find heaps of these different recipes that are just simple, easy, and they make healthier options because the sweet chili sauce you get in the bottle is not the best stuff. This is just half a cup of dates. And I've actually soaked them in hot water, so just hot boiling water. And it's just half a cup and a quarter of a cup of water. So I've just thrown it in the blender. And 4 garlic cloves, so all crushed up. 4 garlic cloves. And it's 1 chilli, and you leave the seeds in the chilli, but this chilli is a bit of a huge chilli, so maybe don't use one this big. I'm actually considering taking...
Mommy, am I?
Oh, look at all the bubbles. I'm taking some chilli out because that's huge, but it's just 1 chilli with the seeds.
Yeah.
And these are great for like with the kids when they've got chips, like baked chips or sweet potato chips, and you want a chili sauce and you don't want to just give them anything. 1 teaspoon of salt, so 1 teaspoon of salt. And 4 tablespoons of fresh lemon juice, and this is going to help preserve it as well. And I will blend this until it's smooth. Now, the dates have been soaking for maybe half an hour before we started, so you could just put them in there. Okay, so I blended that until it was smooth. There we go, until it's smooth. And I'm just going to put that in a pot, just a small pot. Let it simmer a touch while that's cooking. 1/4 cup of water and just arrowroot powder. I just use 1 tablespoon of arrowroot powder and you put it in there. Yep, you just mix it around. Do you want to mix it? Can you mix it until it's not into a paste?
Yeah.
Yep, you mix it into a paste. And the arrowroot, all it's going to do, once this is simmered a little bit, you're just going to put the arrowroot in it and it's just going to give it a bit more bulk. That's good. That's really good. Okay, I need to take it off. You don't need to keep it on the fire. Take it off. Then put the
I
arrowroot
had
in.
a taste and it was
Until it's, and then just mix until it sort of thickens up. It doesn't take long.
custard.
It's like custard, isn't it? So I'm going to pour it in a jar because if you've got a jar, an airtight jar, you can keep it in the fridge for a while. So there you go. There's your homemade sweet chili sauce. Done. I'm going to put the lid on it. Put the lid on it and put it in the fridge for whenever we need it. Hope you enjoy it.
Well, Megan Blandford wrote for the Brisbane Times on how she tackled perfectionism and became a better parent. Good for her. Is being a perfectionist holding you back, though, from being a better parent? It's a treat to have you back with us today, Collette Smart. Thank you so much for joining us. You're a psychologist, so I'm really happy that you are here to answer some of these questions. What does a perfectionist parent look like?
I think a perfectionist in general, in my opinion, there's kind of 2 pillars to a perfectionist. There's the one pillar which is very self-focused. So everything's of an incredibly high standard. Nothing short of perfect can be let go. So you're very self-critical. The second pillar to me is how you perceive others perceiving you. So you're very afraid of people finding out that you actually can't do everything to this incredibly high standard. You're afraid that people are going to see that somehow you mess up as a parent. And then you're always shifting the goalposts. I think perfectionists never or very rarely celebrate their successes because they feel as though they're always looking back at their past mistakes or ahead at what they've done wrong, what's still coming and how they're going to do that wrong too. So they never live in the moment. And I think it really affects our relationships a lot. So yeah, it tends to seep into a whole lot of areas of our lives.
I was just going to ask, we can kind of understand that for performance-based activities like work and things like that. How does that translate into parenting or, a relationship? How does that perfectionism?
So I think perfectionism affects relationships a great deal, particularly around how we perceive what our own children do, but also how we're critical of ourselves, and so we often project that onto our kids. We never feel like what we're doing is good enough, so we don't ever take praise. When our partners or our spouses tell us we've done something well, we never just enjoy the moment when we've done something as a parent. We just seem to always be hard on ourselves.
It's actually, this article actually struck a chord with me because I'm a recovering perfectionist.
I was going to use that term. I love it.
But it's still a really big struggle for me because, for me, striving for perfection is trying to be better.
Yes.
And so if you don't you just stagnate?
So I think there's a difference. I think there's what we call the neurotic perfectionist and then the healthy perfectionist. And I'll confess, I'm also a recovering perfectionist. And when my children were young, I was very big on neatness. I still am to an extent, but my husband said to me once, he said, "Babe, our kids don't need to grow up in a museum." And that actually...
I love that.
Yeah.
Well, I don't.
I went, that's true. Our children aren't going to remember how perfectly wonderful everything was and how scheduled every activity was. So it's not to say that we don't strive for excellence or we don't strive to do things well. I think it's when nothing short of perfect ever is ever good enough, we actually then never allow our children to enjoy something, or we never relax. And I think we've got to be kind to ourselves. We've got to have times when we just relax and let things go. Sometimes when we let things go are the times when we actually have the most fun.
So is perfectionism a learned trait, or is it innate? Is it part of our personality?
It can be both. You know, if people have grown up in households where they're always punished for never meeting a certain standard, you can develop that kind of personality. But it can be something that is innate, we see little children who everything has to be ordered all of the time, and then some children are total slobs and they live in the same home. So it can be a bit of both. But really it's even, you know, teaching our children to be kind to themselves when they don't meet a certain level, and giving yourself permission to celebrate when you do things well, and getting people, I think, to hold you accountable, like my husband did with me. When you feel like you're not measuring up, actually own your failures. I think it's important to go, you know what, to fail is to be human, and that's actually okay.
I think that's a good point, especially probably with children. Especially if you have a tendency towards perfectionism, is learning to let them feel like being in your presence is a safe space to fail and to make mistakes.
I think that's modelling to our children that failing at times is actually okay. It's part of who we all are.
It's sometimes easier said than done, though.
It is. And I think it's a habit. We have to. You and I would, as recovering perfectionists, it's something I think that we have to develop a new skill at. We have to develop new habits, particularly if we've been doing it for years. Giving ourselves permission to not do something perfectly well is something we've got to learn.
So what does that look like if you're trying to recover? What does that look like? Being kind to yourself, what does that look like?
So things like giving yourself boundaries, and in terms of accepting a certain standard and then actually being okay with it, and confessing to someone when you feel like, I'm feeling inadequate, I feel like I haven't measured up. Because remember, as perfectionists, we're terrified of people's opinions of us.
Especially as perfectionist parents, because it's so hard not to compare your parenting to somebody else, or your child to somebody else's child.
And so I think it starts with confessing that, actually saying, you know what, I'm struggling, I feel like I'm not doing this well. It's weird, but somehow when we actually verbalize something, it actually takes the power away from whatever that is that's holding us. So when we actually fess up to our husbands or a good friend and actually tell them about how we feel like we're failing, that's one of the first steps to actually letting go of some of what we're holding on to.
I love your wisdom there, and I love how you're saying set yourself up with a network that's going to support you and carry you through, because parenting is challenging you know, at its best and its worst. So I love what you've said there. Thank you so much for joining us today. I really appreciate you being here and sharing that with us.
Thanks for having me.
Ladies, a pleasure as always. Love having you here. And don't forget, you can watch more of our shows on our website, mumsathethetable.com. Otherwise, we will see you next week. Have a good one. Bye for now.